Hey guys, welcome back to the tribe.
Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, you do.
So today we actually have an interesting topic that we're going to talk about. But before we get started, we're going to start with our affirmation of the day.
Yes, we're going to start with the affirmation. Our affirmation of the day is, I am one with the body of the earth, and I am one with the soul of the earth.
I am one with the body of the earth, and I am one with the soul of the earth.
That's right. And we say this to ourselves throughout the day to reprogram the subconscious mind. Let's go.
So the topic that we're going to get into today is the art of communication.
That's right, the art of communication. And there are many ways that we communicate with each other as humans on many different levels. We're going to discuss it today.
Yes. So there is several different styles of communication. Nonverbal communication, verbal communication, interpersonal communication, written communication, visual communication.
Yes, I agree with all of those different communication styles, and we use them in different ways. And sometimes we have no idea when or why we're using specific modes of communication. I think that us as human beings, we communicate obviously to get a sense of what reality is or tell someone what's going on in our lives or whatever the case is. But ultimately, it's all based on symbolism. We're trying to describe something with a specific symbol, especially with writing and words, and even the words that I'm using right now. As humans, we created symbols to describe a specific thing in our reality. And I think that for me, studying words and studying how we communicate with each other, that's not really the true communication that's happening. That's the surface communication. So you have verbal and even having written communication. There's something underlying that communication, which is energy. The energy underlying the words that I'm saying, there's energy underlying the things that I write out, right? There's energy underlying the body language. All language comes from us trying to express a specific type of energy that's going on in our body that we want other people to be able to understand or be able to convey it properly.
Okay, so when it comes to verbal communication, especially when it comes to the tone, when it comes to the speech, when it comes to how you directly say something, sometimes we are not aware of what it is that we are trying to say due to the fact that there are so many different meanings. Each word or all of the words have different attachments and different ways of how you express them. So again, morning, good morning. I'm not mourning right now, but we say it in a way because it's been conditioned for us to say
There's
it.
double meanings to
It's
a lot of
double
these
meaning.
words.
So it's like now that we are aware and we're old enough, we're seeing how these spells are keeping us in shackles because we're repeating these things every single day.
Yeah.
And because of that, especially when it comes to verbal communication, it is important to be conscious about what you say and how you say it, but also to be mindful of the placement of the words of how you say it. So then that way you're not saying something that you don't mean, or you're putting yourself or putting the person that you're speaking to in an actual spell.
Yeah, and also like when it comes to the English language, like we studied it, we studied the English language and we're trying to study other languages.
Yes.
You realize that like we said earlier, English language has double meaning. So when you're saying something, you may not mean this specific thing, but at the same time, this person may take it that way because there's so many different meanings to these words. Also, when it comes to speaking and engaging with someone else, again, like I said, it's an energy thing. So you might say something and you may mean something else on an energetic level, but they can't really decode what you're saying. To me, the words are kind of hiding the truth because I can say that I love you, but if it's not infused with the true energy of I love you, do I really mean it? Right.
Yeah.
So communication when it comes to what I mean and what I say are two different things.
No, yeah, definitely the intention behind it. I mean, sometimes we get so caught up in the actual
What's
list
being
of the
said,
words
yeah.
of how it's being said, but we don't necessarily take the time to actually listen to or understand the action and understand where the direct energy or attachment to that word is coming from.
Right.
But I also like the fact that you brought up that in the English language, there's double meaning, where in other languages, so for example, obviously we're studying Spanish and we're studying Portuguese at the same time, buenos dias and bom dia means better days. So their greeting in the morning is better days versus our greeting, as I said before, good morning, your morning. It has a different meaning, but we usually like to say grand rising because grand rising is a way of affirmation.
Yeah.
It's us
It's reversing the
picking us.
spell.
Yes, it's picking ourselves up, but it's feeling positive, like grand rising. Like it's a burst of energy. So
A lot of
I
these
like
things
how you
got
brought that up.
hijacked. Yeah, thank you so much. A lot of these things got hijacked as well, like different words and stuff. So they become annoying to the psyche. So they don't even want you to say. So they kind of like hijack the awakening in a way. So when you hear grand rising, people associate that with toxic stuff or this or that. Or when you hear woke, all of these terms and these words, they're getting hijacked by the matrix so that you won't even want to participate in that modality. I think since the beginning of time, we've been trying to communicate with one another, and as time went on, it got diluted.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking to Zoni yesterday, and I was saying how in the Kemetic time or the Egyptian times, they had the Medjuneter or what they call hieroglyphics, and each symbol represented a variety of things. So you didn't need one letter, which is a symbol, and add other letters, which are more symbols, to create another symbol. So it's just even more confusion in the human mind and trying to wrap our minds around what's really going on. It's not as confusing when you're born into it, but once you start to do your research and look back at other languages or other realities, you're like, wow, like they really got us with this language. They really got us, and also they got us in law, because this language was really built on law, Latin, and it was built on law types of mentality. So we're really speaking in law out here and not even understanding or comprehending how we're communicating.
I like the fact that you brought up these symbols.
Yeah.
Now that gets into our next, which is written communication.
Written communication.
And written communication, this has been around for centuries, decades. People used, before they even knew how to speak, they would write down or they would put symbolism or paintings and drawings to get people's attention, whether it's through art, whether it's through words, whether it is through symbols. But different ways to actually get their point across by showing depth and emotion.
I think that, like I said, years and years ago, it was less complicated when it came to the written language, because a specific symbol meant a whole bunch of different things.
Right.
It's kind of the same way with like Chinese. I'm not really too privy on the Chinese language, but you can see that they still deal. Yeah, they still deal. That's the name of it, huh?
Yeah.
They still deal in symbols. You understand what I'm saying? Although we deal in symbols, we deal in multiple symbols that we smash together to make a word, which is another symbol. So,
I like how you brought that up. Yes, pinyin, also to Arabic, Hebrew.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
These
different.
are closer to ancient languages.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So,
and I have the privilege, and I actually still have books we can actually study together, but I had the privilege of obviously studying the Mandarin language and understanding the different symbolism and how it connects to each word. So Ren, Mei is people, but it's a certain way that you put the lines together. If you don't put it that way, it can mean something completely different because a line is off. So it's really cool to see how, especially going back into history, how they really took their time to really point out, like, this is how you're supposed to look at this symbol. This is how you're supposed to read this symbol. This connects to this symbol because of this. But there's always a bridge and there's always an understanding of why these symbols or these written forms or these words or this text is the way that it is because it has a certain type of connection.
Yeah, I think that the written language, because our primary mode of communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
We communicate
as
nonverbal, but
Americans.
I'm gonna continue to keep on the writing aspect of it, because when you look at writing and reading, it's instant interpretation from the brain. So you're not really, unless someone tells you what something means, but then it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, me speaking or me reading?
Right.
Which one came? We don't know. So in all reality, we don't know which mode is more powerful. We can only try to interpret how powerful the, but to me, the written word, when I'm reading it in my mind and I'm interpreting it in my mind instead of it coming from someone else directly in their body and their energy and how they feel, I get a better grasp on what I'm ingesting when I'm reading the written word or I'm reading a certain symbol or I'm reading because it's straight from my mind and I'm interpreting how I want to interpret it. So when you're hearing someone speak, it's completely different because they're coming with whatever energy that they're coming with, however, whatever innuendos or whatever they don't really want to tell you. They're saying what they're saying, but they don't really want to tell you what it is. So written language is very important as well, yeah, in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Segue. Okay, so the word of the day is suasion.
Suasion.
Suasion. So the act of convincing someone gently.
Okay, okay.
And how I could put that in a sentence. When I want days off at work, I tend to use a suasion approach.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not mad at that one.
Okay, so now we're going to get into visual communication.
Visual communication.
Yes.
That is a crazy topic because you want whatever.
No, you can start.
Okay. Visual. I mean, I guess that also goes into written in a way because it's visual, but at the same time, there are so many different other visual types of communication. This is a visual communication, the television visual communication, stop signs, different types of symbols that give you
social media.
Yeah, and they reach, and some symbols, since we're energetic beings, we can put our intent into everything. So I can create a symbol that I intend on it meaning a specific thing and hitting you with a specific type of energy. This is why when we watch cartoons as children, they put subliminal messages in there, subtle things that are symbols in the visual that you may not even know what it means, but it's going to hit your subconscious mind, and the intention that they had will hit you as well. So that's why visual communication is great.
It's crazy. Because again, we are visual beings. We like to see, with our eyes.
For sure.
I'm sorry for the blind, but we like to see with our eyes. So that's the first thing that we come across. As soon as we speak anything, we use our eyes to really tell a story or to really come up with how we are trying to address the situation because we're looking at it physically. Now, visual you can have amazing and great visuals, or you can have bad visuals. Some amazing or great visuals would be probably like looking at fashion magazines like Vogue, or looking at history, National Geographic books, or a bad visual can be pornos or like explicitly sexual content. So we have different ways of how we display visual communication. And sometimes it's just you feeling. You don't even have to say anything. It's a certain type of feeling that invokes within you that makes you feel a certain way.
Picture books, or when you're watching a movie that has no words. That's a visual communication. There's no words that are telling you what's going on. It's just visual. You have to turn that into.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing as written, almost. That's visual.
It's just visual. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, talk about it, or you
pretty much nailed it on the head. But visual communication
This is visual. This is a form of visual communication, although we're talking to each other.
Or black and white films.
Black and white films. Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Visual communication, not necessarily speaking, but just being able to.
You gotta come up with what's going on. You gotta convey it in your own understanding.
Even those picture books.
Yeah, the picture books.
When you would all the pages, it tells a story.
Right.
Okay.
Or even like T-shirts. When you have a T-shirt that just has something on it. Now, this is all visual communication.
And it all connects.
Right.
Okay.
And also, a part of visual communication, but not the fullness of it, is body language. Because you're seeing visually what's happening, but you're also interpreting the energy of what you're saying. Okay. Like I know what that means, but I had to see it to know what it means, but I also had to feel it to know what it means. So
it's a
it's a
mix.
double.
Yeah, it's like a mix of text, a
Right.
mix of images,
Yes.
charts,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
on.
And I
Okay.
think that I think that we're trapped in visual communication because this is why it's so important. That's why they say go within, go within. Close your eyes, because your eyes are giving you the deepest form of separation because we know that separation is illusion. On a spiritual level, we know that we're all connected, we're all one. But the eyes give you the deepest form of separation because I can see that something's over there with my eyes. But the eyes are deceiving you because in all reality, there's an energy between myself and the camera that exists that my eyes can't perceive. So I'm constantly perceiving separation with these eyes.
So that makes sense because digital communication, sometimes I get confused with digital and visual communication, but
We're
yeah,
trying
I
to
guess
convey
going
something
into,
regardless.
yeah.
So yeah.
So I guess going into digital communication, which would be social media, which would be chat, messaging, emails. Those are different ways of trying to express without probably being present sometimes. Because you can send, you can send out an email, and again, that has to do with the tone.
Right.
Now, if you write all caps, somebody's gonna
they're gonna interpret that in a specific.
Is angry.
Right.
So,
but it's all about how they interpret it.
Right.
That's so right. Wow. But also with going back to symbolism, because it's the same thing.
Yes.
Even our modern day symbolism that kind of like mirrors Egypt and the hieroglyphs and the Medu is emojis. Like emojis. When I send emoji, you send emoji, we send emojis to people. We kind of know what. It's just an interpretation thing. That's what humans really, really interesting when it comes to that.
And you get more of a happiness. So if somebody like. If somebody that you know, for example, at work that you're working with, and they send an emoji, whether it's a smiley face or a heart or like a thumbs up or a high five, you know that you're receiving good energy or that person's a positive, happy person because they're sending something at the end to really soften the message. I think emojis. I think emotive. Emotive. Okay. But we know that emojis, that is a way of softening a message versus before we had maybe arrows or like the black and white kind of like images, icons. So it's interesting to see how we've come such a long way from breaking out of verbal communication, non-verbal communication, visual communication, now entering into digital communication because technology is very much new.
But it's dangerous too, though.
It's very dangerous.
I only say that it's dangerous because we all have this subconscious need for things to be okay when it comes to talking to each other. So if I send you a text and say, da-da-da-da-da-da, period. Most people will interpret that with some type of malice. So what we've done as humans, we started putting LOL just to soften the blow. Why? Because all of us subconsciously are looking for something negative in everything that we're all saying. I can't just say what I said and it just be that. So it's very dangerous because when you're speaking to somebody like when we're speaking to each other, you can feel and sense what I'm saying. But since we're not able to do that through the digital, we got to try to like, oh, I didn't mean nothing harm by that. LOL. Like you shouldn't have taken that I meant harm anyway. And most of the time we do kind of mean like F you and we still say LOL or we don't really care about what you're talking about, but we say LOL just to make it feel good.
Or throw subliminals. You know, just in case you may not like the person, you throw like a soft subliminal and that person may not understand or see it because they see the fluff. We've learned the art of fluff. As Americans, we have learned the art of fluff.
We're not as direct.
We're not as direct as everyone else. You know, when you go to Europe, they're a lot more direct. Listen, I don't like this, whatever, I'm taking my lunch break, screw you, I'm smoking, whatever. This is what it is. And we have learned how to mask it with different and many faces, which would
words,
say fake,
body language, fake.
And you soon find out how that person truly feels through going through situations or going through repetitive moments with those people.
Even as you saying that, it just gives me an understanding that there are so many different forms of communication. Even us trying to communicate on a level of, okay, like I'm going out. Let me put the smell goods on. Let me put the clothes on. Let me communicate
Yeah.
that I'm a good person. Let me communicate that I'm rich because my
Yeah.
car. Let me communicate that I have this specific type of whatever,
Lifestyle.
right? And then once we actually get to know people
Mm-hmm.
beyond that initial communication, you start to realize you're a shitty person. I don't like you, and
Yeah.
this is not the way you displayed yourself was not the way that you really
That's a
are.
nice bridge. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me touch on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. When it comes to that, and we see that all the time through
Mm-hmm.
social media, we
Yeah.
see the fake lifestyle, we see the dreams, the dreamers, we see the people that come off as this nice, wholesome person online, but could be completely nasty
Mm.
in real life.
Mm.
And that's why they say it's good
Yeah.
or it's always best to never take someone fully as
Yeah.
they are,
Or as they're appearing to
as they're
be.
appearing to
Yeah.
be
Mm.
visually, but go by their actions,
Yeah.
go by how they perceive or how they come
Display
off and
themselves
display
as
themselves
they talk, as they speak. When you give people time and space to
enough.
be who they are,
Yeah,
they will show you who
who
they
they
are
are.
beyond what they're trying to communicate to you
Right.
in the moment. So,
Because a
yeah,
lot, and also too, a lot of the time people are using certain ways to rope you in to get something out of you. So
most
that's why
definitely.
intent is extremely important because you never know what the intent is. So again, I hope these communication styles were very helpful to you. Stephen and I, we were able to see how these communication styles can apply to us and what are easier ways for us to help each other when it comes to valuing each other and making sure that we feel heard and respected.
Right. And also out in the world and when we're experiencing other people, stay sharp, stay diligent, use these different communication styles for your benefit, but also be honest, be open with people when needed. Make sure you like and subscribe,
Yeah.
comment down below. We really appreciate you guys.
Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay tuned.